There was surveillance video of the killer's truck, a genital piercing, a fight in court over a child's breathing machine, the heiress to a multi-level marketing papercrafts business, 3 arrests and potentially more to come, a metaphorical clown car of partners in crime. All this to kill one guy who was too nice to just leave a tire sitting in the road. This is the story of Jared Bridegan, the Florida dad who was gunned down in front of his 2-year-old daughter. Hi friends, I'm Katie, and this is Katie Does Crime. Thank you for joining me for the first time if you're new here, and hello to the usual rapscallions and reprobates. Please consider subscribing or joining me on Patreon if you'd like to hear more true crime stories. Today's case came recommended to me by my very best friend, who doesn't watch my videos because she doesn't like true crime and it'll mess up her YouTube algorithm. Obviously, I don't trust her to help me dissolve a body in a bathtub if needed someday, but at least she made herself slightly useful by suggesting this case. The reason it was on my friend's radar is that she scrapbooks, and one of the people involved in this crime is the heiress to the Stampin' Up! Fortune. That's a crafting supplies multi-level marketing company for those of you who don't spend your weekends fussy cutting titles for your scrapbook pages like "This Is Us" and "Best Day Ever." But we'll get to that later. Let's start at the very beginning. Jared Galen Bridegan was born in Missouri, 33 years old, once divorced and then remarried, a father of 4, a devout Mormon, and a senior design manager at Microsoft. He was described as the type of guy who would loan you his tools and then show up to help you with your project. His family said he seemed to have endless energy for creating memories with his children. Jared lived in St. Augustine, Florida, but on the evening of February 16, 2022, he was in Jacksonville Beach to drop off 2 of the children with his ex-wife. With the 9-year-old twins, a boy and a girl, safely in her home, he got back on the road with his 2-year-old daughter that he had with his second wife. They had met on a dating app in 2017 when she was living in North Carolina. But leaving his ex-wife's gated community, the Sanctuary, Jared had to stop because of a tire in the road. The area was dark and secluded at the time, although lights have since been installed to make it safer. While he tried to get that tire out of the way, he was shot multiple times at close range. His daughter sat in her car seat in the Volkswagen Atlas, waiting for someone to realize she was alone. Someone walked by minutes later and noticed the hazard lights blinking and the little girl crying by herself. Responding officers found Jared's body on the side of the road by his open door. Handgun shell casings were nearby, and the window in front of the little girl had been shattered by a bullet. Nothing was taken, and there was no known motive. Jared's wife said she had just talked to him, and everything seemed fine. Rewards for information were offered, topping out at $55,000. No leads had emerged almost a month later. So in mid-March, the Jacksonville Beach police tried a different tactic. They asked for help in identifying a 2004 to 2008 dark blue Ford F-150 that was picked up by surveillance cameras in the Shutter Avenue area. They showed blurry images of the truck and a similar crew cab pickup they thought they might be seeing. They waited to see if anyone would come forward. In April, the family held a candlelight vigil in Jared's honor. His wife said, "I am so grateful for every single one of you. The mayors, the police, the churches, neighbors, friends, and strangers. Every single voice makes a difference. I want them to know that this is not okay, that we will find them and they will be held accountable." Jared's brother spoke about how he was a creative genius, a one-time film student at the Douglas Anderson School of the Arts who used his own family in his homemade films. Jared's brother-in-law talked about his goodness, his smile, and his warmth. Jared's wife called him a great dad and the best husband. She said their daughter was still talking about seeing Daddy on the ground and how his body couldn't get better. With no other suspects, obviously the media's attention turned toward Jared's 35-year-old ex-wife, who ran a bakery out of her home called Beach Baked 904. The reviews say the cookies were to die for. Now, you always have to look to the ex, and the bitter divorce that she and Jared went through didn't help things. Shanna Gardner from Utah met Jared from Florida in 2009. They married 2 months later, moved to her home state and then to Connecticut, but they ultimately settled in Jacksonville Beach. Their son had a heart condition, and in Florida, Jared's family could help them out. But Shanna filed for divorce in 2015, saying that Jared subjected her and the kids to disturbing and abusive behavior. She said he would coach the children on what to say about her and then record them saying those things as a threat to her. He said she installed surveillance in their home and in his car and disparaged him in front of the children. Their litigation in court went on and on for 6 years. The case had about 300 entries and motions. In one of them, Shanna accuses Jared of not letting her borrow a breathing machine for their son. Her lawyer wrote, "The father apparently considers his vindictiveness toward the mother more important than protecting his son's health and life." Just FYI, the court ruled that Jared had invested more in the machine and could buy Shanna out for total ownership to end the arguments over it. They both eventually remarried, but the struggles of their relationship continued in conflicts over child support and how to parent. One court document said, "The parenting plan is clearly an issue, and the parents are unable to agree. The disagreement of the parents at this point now extends well beyond mere time sharing and goes to issues of the mental health and well-being of the children." So yeah, it was contentious. In June 2022, months into the hunt for Jared's killer, the media reported that Shanna had turned a little wild after filing for divorce. She had gotten, you may want to clutch your pearls here, a genital piercing. I think they were sure to mention that it was a genital piercing so we'd know that Shanna is that kind of woman. But while she was getting that piercing in 2015, she said something nefarious to an employee of the tattoo parlor. He didn't realize it was nefarious, though, until Jared turned up dead. Shanna had become friends with the guy, and at a dinner one night, she said life would be better if she could just find someone to shut up her ex. She complained that he was trying to take all of her money. And one friend said that her relationship with Jared had always been about money, because Shanna was the heiress to the Stampin' Up! Paper crafts fortune. It's her family's MLM company worth over $100 million, and the friend says Shanna tried to woo Jared with the idea of the luxurious lifestyle her parents could provide them. They allegedly got a stipend of $8,500 per month or more, which was especially useful when Jared wanted to go to school full-time to get his master's degree. It's hard to know how their relationship got so petty, but I guess that's common in divorces. Shanna's papercraft queen mom was even involved, logging that Shanna, along with anyone who knew her, was uninvited from Jared's funeral, so she had to have her own celebration of life with the twins. The Daily Mail reports that people commented on that blog post to call her out on what they were saying was a lie, though. So she changed the post to say that, okay, Jared's new wife did offer to bring the twins to the funeral. She later deleted the comments and changed the post completely. Later that year, in August 2022, reports surfaced that Shanna had once been in an affair with her trainer. Jared had bought the fitness sessions for his wife as a Christmas gift in 2014. Shanna said nothing happened between them, but the trainer came forward and said that actually, their relationship had quickly become romantic. She even used him as her emergency contact when she got that genital piercing. The trainer said Shanna told him she and Jared had been separated for months and living at opposite ends of the house. Jared was a devout Mormon, and Shanna didn't really want that anymore. Friends say Jared found explicit messages between his wife and the trainer, but wanted to stay in the marriage for the kids. Shanna said, "Our relationship was pretty complicated and remained pretty complicated, but that she was shocked when Jared was killed. She said she had no intent to harm him, and she was horrified for her now 10-year-old twins that they understood she was being painted as a potential murderer by the media." She already had them in therapy to deal with the divorce and the death of their father. She called her second husband, a rental property manager named Mario, their biggest supporter. She hired a prominent defense attorney, sure, but she said it was just to protect her family from the sensationalist media.
Did you have anything to do with Jared's murder?
No, I did not have anything to do with his murder.
Do you have any idea who might have done this?
I do not have any idea. As I said, we've been divorced. We don't run in the same social circles. All I know is that I would never want anybody to go through this.
And maybe she was innocent, because in January 2023, the local police chief announced that an arrest had been made. Henry Arthur Tenon was 61 years old and absolutely no stranger to the police in the Jacksonville area. He's had arrests for everything from domestic battery to driving with a suspended license to violating parole. And that's just locally. He was also a felon in Georgia. And even at the time of these latest charges in the death of Jared Bridegan, he was already in jail for having a shotgun in his trunk while driving with a suspended license. He was charged with conspiracy to commit murder, second-degree murder with a weapon, accessory after the fact to a capital felony, and child abuse. But the police said they knew he hadn't acted alone. They called it a planned, targeted ambush and murder.
In order to protect the integrity of this ongoing and active investigation, the state has obtained a court order sealing Tennant's arrest warrant and affidavit for the next 30 days. However, I will briefly discuss the 4 crimes for which Tennant has been arrested. Conspiracy to commit murder. We know Henry Tennant did not act alone. Conspiracy to commit murder is a first-degree felony, punishable by up to 30 years in prison.
Now, the interesting thing is that, as I mentioned, Jared's ex-wife Shanna was now married to a 35-year-old rental property manager named Mario Fernandez Saldana. Mario had been a maintenance man at a CrossFit gym in 2018 when he met Shanna. And Henry, who was now charged with Jared's murder, had previously rented one of the homes Mario managed. But it seemed like maybe it was a wild coincidence. Mario's only real run-in with the law was that he didn't like it that a neighbor fed stray cats in the neighborhood. He reportedly tried to intentionally scare her and the cats with his pit bull. He said, of course, that he was just innocently walking his dog. At first, Henry pleaded not guilty, but I'm guessing he knew the evidence against him was pretty decent. See, the police had caught on to him when they went to interview the person who was currently living in that rental house of Mario's. They found a tire leaning against the house, and the occupant said he'd found it on the curb. He offered it to the police. Testing later revealed that it matched the tire involved in Jared's murder. And oh yeah, this tenant also said that after Henry's dad died, he went to Georgia to pick up his dad's blue Ford F-150 truck, just like the one in the surveillance video near the scene of the crime. Henry's GPS also showed that he drove the route Jared would take from Shanna's house 2 times in the month before the murder, like he was rehearsing the crime. So on March 16, 2023, Henry agreed to plead guilty to second-degree murder with a weapon in exchange for the other 3 counts against him being dropped. He said he was the person who pulled the trigger against Jared, and the court said it would take into consideration his life expectancy and the fact that he was willing to cooperate. Because, oh yes, he was willing to cooperate. He agreed to testify against his co-conspirator. That same day, authorities arrested Mario, Shanna's second husband. Mario was charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, solicitation to commit a capital felony, and child abuse. Phone records show that Mario and Henry had communicated as many as 35 times per month around the murder. Henry also had 3 handwritten checks from Mario, and apparently one of them said, "Kickstarter good luck" in the comment line. Henry said it was an investment in the new pallet company he was starting. But the fact that someone wrote "good luck" on the check to their hitman is just... Shanna's parents at the scrapbooking MLM issued a letter to their distributors to say she and Mario had been estranged for an extended period of time and to delete comments about it from their social media platforms. They didn't mention Jared's murder at all nor offer any condolences. Shanna had quietly moved away to Washington State with the twins into a house her parents bought, so she wasn't around to see the arrest. And I'm just like, how convenient that Shanna was able to just take her kids wherever she wanted with their father now dead. It makes me wonder, did she marry Mario for just that reason? Of course, Mario acts like Jared was asking for it. He said that he once knocked on Jared's door to pick up the kids, and Jared said he would file a restraining order if that ever happened again. He said they fought over how to raise the kids, that Jared didn't want his son on ADHD medication. Mario said that Jared was the kind of dad the kids were scared to talk to over a fear of rejection. Once, one of the twins asked if she could dye her hair purple, and Jared said she couldn't be a part of the Mormon church with purple hair. He said Jared also didn't want the kids in therapy because they would talk about him. Mario said that on the night of the murder, he was zoned out on a nerve blocker he takes for headaches. The kids went out to dinner with their dad, and then he and Shanna asked them about it when they got home. The kids went to bed, and he did laundry. When the cops arrived a short time later, he thought it must be about his hatred of stray cats. Okay, maybe he didn't word it quite that way, but I'll never forget that he hates stray cats. Mario said he wanted Jared to just suck it, and that he wanted custody of the kids for himself and Shanna so they could shut Jared down. So that seems like a pretty major admission to be making in front of the cops. But Mario said it wasn't just him. There was a line of people behind him who didn't like Jared. And one crime analyst interviewed by First Coast News said that indeed, the amount of redacted material in Mario's court documents led him to think that the investigation was still ongoing and that another suspect was out there. So yes, it took another 5 months, but then finally Shanna herself was brought in. The Florida state attorney called her the final piece in Jared's murder. Apparently, the local police were on to Shanna the moment she admitted on the night of the murder that their divorce was not amicable, and Jared's second wife said the only people with ill will toward him were Shanna and Mario. Authorities had subpoenas for their phones 2 days later. Shanna was charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, solicitation to commit first-degree murder, and child abuse. Jared's wife said that she was finally able to tell her daughter, the one who was in the car when Jared was murdered, that the mean mom was going to jail.
We promised at the outset of this investigation we would not relent until we uncovered the truth of Jared's murder, the whole and entire truth. This morning, a Fourth Circuit grand jury indicted Shanna Gardner for first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, solicitation to commit first-degree murder, and child abuse, all related to the murder of Jared Bridegan, Shanna's ex-husband. Gardner was arrested shortly after and taken into custody by ATF Washington Field Division agents in West Richland, Washington. Gardner will be extradited to Duval County to face these charges. We will be filing a notice of our intent to seek the death penalty, as we have also done in the case of Mario Fernandez. I cannot stress enough the extraordinary commitment and teamwork of the folks on the stage with me today, the Jacksonville Beach detectives, ATF agents, and our prosecutors in this case.
First and foremost, the family is so appreciative of all of you being here and this opportunity. I wanted to speak to Jared. Jared, we shouldn't be here today. You should be making us laugh and spending time with your family. Your siblings miss you every day. There is a pain in our hearts that will never go away. Your parents miss you. Your wife misses you. Your children miss you. To every single law enforcement officer, agency, the district and state attorney, we can never express our gratitude adequately. We are eternally grateful for your sacrifices and your support. To every reporter, podcast show, producer, thank you. Thank you for writing about Jared's story. Thank you for caring. Thank you for helping us fight for justice. To every person who shared a story, liked, commented, posted flyers about the truck, those who shared a prayer or sent words of positive encouragement, thank you from the bottom of the Bridegan family heart. We love you all. Thank you.
For 547 days, we have hoped and prayed that this day would come. Our hearts will always be full of deep gratitude for the men and women who have worked tirelessly to bring justice forward in Jared's case. We are also deeply grateful for the prayers that have been offered on our behalf. Shanna's arrest ends one horrific chapter of our pursuit for justice for Jared, and now we open a new one. This next chapter will be excruciating. But we are confident in the ability of the state's attorney's office and law enforcement to bring truth to light. We expect to see justice carried out to the fullest extent of the law. Our hearts and minds have been with Liam and Abby since the day of Jared's murder, but especially now. For the past year and a half, Liam and Abby have been isolated and kept away from us while they lived with their mother, their stepdad, and their maternal grandparents. Despite my constant requests to see or speak to them, I have been denied and continuously ignored. So I will take this opportunity to do it again. I plead with the Gardners to put the emotional and mental well-being of Liam Abby above all else and allow them to reconnect with us. We are their family. We love them. We have prayed for them every single day for the last 547 days since they were ripped away and isolated from us. The kids deserve all the love and support possible as we work through this next chapter. Please do not continue to add to their pain. Let our children be siblings again and put them first and do what's right. Thank you.
The indictment against Shanna said she and her husband conspired between November 2021 and February 2022 to kill her ex. Of course, it's all one-sided now, and you have to take everything Shanna says with a grain of salt. But she says Jared drained their bank accounts, that he was a hermit who didn't want to be outside the hotel room on family vacations, and that he would have a rude undertone when speaking to her. She said he wouldn't allow her to have friends and tried to control how she dressed. She said that when they went to therapy, he told her she was the only one who needed to change. She said that even though their house was purchased with money from her trust, he wanted half of it in the divorce. When she and Mario first started dating, she wanted him to be able to help with the kids, but Jared said not until they were married. So they married quickly when they didn't know each other well. She said that Jared and his wife also married quickly after 2 months, when his previous fiancée left him after a fight. She told police that on the night Jared was murdered, Mario was asleep with a bad headache and she was cooking dinner with headphones on. She advised the police to investigate Jared's new wife. But she said no matter what led to his death, it was just terrible timing. She had just decided to let go of her frustration with Jared to make things easier on all of them. How unfortunate. After pleading guilty, Henry is awaiting sentencing as of now. He'll get at least 15 years. Shanna was in court in May 2024 to ask the judge to release her on bond. At her bond hearing, it was revealed that she once texted her best friend, "I would love to see him get a lethal injection, and I'm not even joking, I want him gone." The texts go back to 2015 when the two were first getting divorced and refers to funeral potatoes and making someone disappear. This friend told police that there were multiple conversations about Mario killing Jared or finding someone who could. Mario sometimes trailed Jared to note his patterns and routines. Jared's brother also said that Shanna was so angry once that she told him she'd considered hiring someone to take him out. The brother said, "I won't get into specifics, but I did have several conversations with Jared where he did express concerns that something like this could happen to him. He did have concerns on his life." A Jacksonville Beach police detective testified at a May 2024 bond hearing that Shanna hated Jared and couldn't stand having to share custody with him. Their whole co-parenting relationship happened only because the court forced it to. So Mario allegedly told Henry that they would invest $150,000 into his new business if he participated in a homicide. It took a couple of times asking, but Henry was eventually convinced. Mario would get the gun. A lot of you out there will absolutely love / absolutely cringe to find out that Shanna's lawyer is Jose Baez, the same lawyer who defended Aaron Hernandez and Casey Anthony. He says that no texts nor calls were ever exchanged between Henry and Shanna. There's nothing to suggest she had any hand in setting up the hit. He also says that Mario wrote the checks, not Shanna, because he controlled their finances when they were together. But the prosecution says Shanna had the most to gain from Jared's death. She would have her trust fund and full custody of her kids. They said she didn't have to hire a hitman because she married one. The latest in the case is that 2 other people have been named as alleged co-conspirators, but we don't know much about them yet. Their names were redacted in the 800 pages of evidence documents submitted to the court. One of them is likely a former tenant in one of Mario's rental properties, though. And one of them is a former reserve police officer and convicted felon who is also known to own a 10mm handgun. That's the type Jared was killed with, and it's never been recovered. When questioned by the police, this guy said he didn't know where his gun was. so we'll see if these other people are arrested soon. Mario and Shanna will face trial together and have both pleaded not guilty. A trial date hasn't been set, but we know they'll face the death penalty. They're both in custody for now, with no bond. The thing that's especially sad to me in this case is that they knew Jared was the type of guy who would stop and move a tire so no one else would hit it. Whatever you think of the Mormon church or Jared telling his daughter she couldn't have purple hair, he just didn't swerve around that tire. He stopped and he got out, and he lost his life for it. The twins are currently living with Shanna's parents in Washington, although Jared's parents have been fighting to change that. They say Shanna's parents helped her flee the state of Florida and are keeping the kids from seeing Jared's family. They just want the twins to be able to see their half-siblings, the 2 kids Jared had with his second wife. On May 16, 2024, Jared's parents asked that the court appoint them as guardians instead, but a decision hasn't been handed down yet. Jared's wife formed the Bridegan Foundation, a Florida nonprofit, in his memory. They provide boxes full of comforting items to local police stations to help children in times of trauma. The boxes are named after the little girl in the back of the car who had to watch her dad die. As always, please let me know what you think about this case in the comments. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm just a true crime fan like you are, and I really appreciate you taking a chance on me. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you like spending this time together. I would be so appreciative. Until next time, I'm Katie, and this has been Katie Does Crime.